A major civil war is breaking out among MAGA over Donald Trump's strikes against Iran and the ongoing conflict he's engaging in. Some of MAGA's biggest influencers are attacking Donald Trump, and he is hitting them back, and this is all taking place publicly. Last night, journalist Rachel Bade said she spoke to Donald Trump on the phone, and he hit back at MAGA world critics on his Iran strikes, including Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson. He said about Megyn Kelly that she ought to study her history book a little bit, he said when asked about her criticism on her show today. And on Tucker Carlson, he said, he has no impact on me. Donald Trump said that MAGA is with him, saying, quote, I think that MAGA is Trump. MAGA's not the other two, referring to Kelly and Carlson. MAGA wants to see our country thrive and be safe, and MAGA loves what I'm doing, every aspect of it. He added that Iran is a detour we have to take in order to keep our country safe and keep other countries safe, frankly. But despite Donald Trump's proclamation that everybody in MAGA loves him, you have people like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Matt Walsh, Nick Fuentes, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and more calling out Donald Trump for this. This civil war is only growing, and I think it's going to get worse for Donald Trump.
Trump busted all the influencer, all the MAGA influencer. I'm sure. Just them out. You're no longer MAGA, you're no longer MAGA. Why are you blasting me over the Iran war? I'm trying to make American great. Why are you blasting me? Candace Owen is among the MAGA influencers who have been thrown out, and more others.
I think more to the heart of the matter, the question is, what is it that makes a king or an emperor feel threatened initially, right? The setup of every movie is always the same. You have the wealthy elites, the politicians perched above a coliseum, slaves fighting to their deaths beneath, all for their distinct entertainment, obviously. And then comes the inevitable narrative flip. Suddenly, the elites and their scribes and the senators, they perceive a threat. And when does that happen? That's actually not a rhetorical question, Mr. President. I know the answer. It is when a slave begins to command the crowd. Every single time, without fail. That's when the politicians begin to feel worried. And what is of particular interest to me about that moment is that the slaves, on their end, they never desire the seats of the politicians, right? They just want to have their most basic needs met. In most circumstances, they'd happily would serve some sort of structure of governance forever if their basic needs could be met, but it's proven to be a historical impossibility, right? Inevitably, we arrive at the moment of political extravagance, the fabled let them eat cake moment. They just can't stop, right? There can be absolutely no truth between a master and his slave for that reason. The nature of the relationship forbids it. And I think about this a lot now, very often, mostly in the context of our late mutual friend, Charlie Kirk. I think to myself, when was the exact moment that Charlie Kirk understood that he was not free, that he had money and that he had fame, but he did not actually have freedom? You know, between you and I, whoever it was that made the decision to kill him was correct in their assessment that he was indeed a threat, because Charlie Kirk could command a crowd. He was capable of that. So much so that he actually, if you think about it, he's been dead for 7 months and the crowd still moves on his behalf. That's incredible. That is real power, Mr. Trump. You should ask yourself, how did he achieve it? I would offer it's because he never sat above, perched, looking down at the slaves, right? Charlie understood how movements were built and, more crucially, how they were sustained. Someone actually said to me shortly after his death that Charlie was a maestro. He understood that every instrument was needed to command an orchestra. The strings, the woodwind, the brass, the percussion, all very different sounds, but he could hear them each brilliantly, each section. And at various times, he would conduct one sound above the other, more flute, less violin, more cello. Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, different instruments, to be sure. But only a fool or someone under the express direction of one could have thought to hit send on what you published on Truth Social last night. And I think that we should read it together, Mr. President, shall we? Okay, here's what you wrote. You wrote, I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. because they have one thing in common. Low IQs. They are stupid people. They know it, their families know it, and everyone else knows it too. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They are nut jobs, troublemakers, and they will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think they can get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them. And their views are the opposite of MAGA, or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. Okay, let's park it there, right? Let's just chew on that portion right there first, because it is a stunning break from reality. I'll ask the question, do you have any idea why it was, Mr. President, that your old tweets, the sentences you used to say, which were typically definitely insults back in 2015, but do you ever wonder why they worked? I can help you, right? It's because they were rooted in some element of truth. Okay. So if you called Rosie O'Donnell unattractive, or when you said Hillary Clinton should be in prison, it played to the crowd because although many people thought it was inappropriate and beneath the dignity of a politician, it was based in truth. Right? Hillary Clinton's done some things. Now, you can call Megyn Kelly a great many things. I have definitely had my political disagreements with her over the years. Low IQ? Really? Tucker Carlson, low IQ? Me, low IQ? The three of us unsuccessful somehow? When you write stuff like that, you just demonstrate nothing but your own irrationality. It just doesn't land. Nobody cares about them anymore. Really? You're the leader of the free world, and you're tweeting about us. I think that means somebody cares. Actually, what nobody cares about anymore, and what you seem to have an inability to comprehend, is that traditional cable news no longer moves the needle. Cable TV is a dying medium. FDR, he used the radio, right? His voice, the fireside chats, it worked. It moved audiences when it was new. And when the world transitioned there, then suddenly it was the dawn of television, JFK's good looks on the screen that served him. And he used that. Once again, fast forward to today, and the world is technologically advancing. That you're launching insults at what you don't comprehend. Joe Rogan is not going to do Fox News hits. Do you understand this? He is not trying to get on CNN. None of us are. I don't know how else to help you understand. You are quite literally mocking people because they comprehend something that you don't. Tucker Carlson is more powerful than you. Deep down, I think you know that, and I think you resent that, which is proven by your next lines. Let's read on. You continue, MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating of Trump, not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Okay. Obviously, Tucker Carlson is in his prime. The whole world understands that. That sentence, he couldn't even finish college. Are you aware that your base is comprised of blue-collar workers who never went to college? Many who never so much wanted to go to college, never dreamed it. The farmers, the ranchers, the plumbers, the electricians, the people who work with their hands, you now stick your nose up to all of those people. Do you know who else didn't go to college? Charlie Kirk didn't go to college. Those men, many, I would say, a lot of the men and women that you and Pete Hegseth want to send to their deaths in the Middle East, many of them, probably most of them, didn't go to college. And let me be perfectly clear here when I say that each and every one of them is infinitely more smart and more capable than you and the people that you surround yourself with in this moment.
Something feels off, and if you're paying attention, you can feel it.
Is he the greatest interviewer? I'm having a great time up here. Are you having a good time? Candace Owens, I watched her and I saw her coming. I said, I'm pretty good at star power. I'd say, that's a star. I just want to finish by saying your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed.
Donald Trump, let me say this. My audience, I'd say 90% supports you.
Donald Trump has now turned on voices like Candace Owens Alex Jones and Megyn Kelly and probably me, Trump should remember the work people put in to help elect him. It would serve him well to remember who stood by him, took hits for him, and defended him when it mattered most. I've always liked Trump and still feel sorry for him, but this could end up being one of his biggest mistakes. If Donald Trump can turn on people simply for disagreeing with him, then it raises a bigger question: could he turn on anyone? For years, millions rallied behind him, believing he stood with them against a broken system. But something feels different now. He's changed. The tone, the reactions, the way criticism is handled is not what many supporters remember. This was supposed to be about empowering Americans, not silencing them. If asking questions starts to feel like crossing a line, then something has shifted. Because when speaking up makes you the enemy, it forces people to ask, what is this movement really about and who is it really for?
How do we 25th Amendment his ass?
The problem is to get the 25th Amendment is harder than impeachment. You have to get 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate.
So what do we do?
Tackle Trump and pretend, let him pretend he's president and publicly report that he's going through a health issue and Vance take over. It literally needs to be something like that. It's that bad.
If you work in the White House or in the U.S. military, now is time to say no, absolutely not, and say it directly to the president, no. In case you're thinking about using some weapon of mass destruction against the population of Iran, in whose name we liberated Iran, we killed their religious leader for their benefit. Do you remember that? This was last month. Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say, no, I'll resign. I'll do whatever I can do legally to stop this because this is insane. And if given the order, I'm not carrying it out. Figure out the codes on the football yourself.
I think it's pretty safe to say that at this point, Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens are not journalists. No, they are gossipers. Because when your views change depending on the day, the headline, or just what gets attention, that's not journalism. That is performance. So Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens, I believe that you should just stick to the whole gossiping for Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. As for Tucker Carlson, I don't even know. But at this point, it feels like a clown trying to explain foreign policy. That whole thing about Chabad, the Jewish people weren't even offended. We were laughing because it was so off, it was almost funny. Let me explain something pretty basic about Chabad. Chabad is everywhere and in every corner of the world. And what do? They open their home to complete strangers. You're traveling, you need a meal, they'll feed you. You have absolutely nowhere to go for Shabbat because you're in the middle of Thailand, you're in. Family of 10, 15, doesn't matter. You have a seat at the table. No money, no agenda, just pure kindness. They help families in crisis. They support communities. They show up after tragedies worldwide. And they're most commonly known for bringing light and illuminating their corner of the world wherever they go. Poor guy Tucker Carlson is clearly not one for fact-checking. And that's why he threw this one in, because his audience isn't one to fact-check either. Okay, now here's the real difference. Trump here is dealing with real threats. A regime that literally chants death to America. But the others, they are commentators just trying to stay relevant. Big difference. So maybe just instead of attention chasing, maybe just stick to what you actually know. And leave the serious conversations to people who actually understand what they're talking about.
Hey, look, we finally got some entertainment today. You see, Trump called Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones, the people who built his base, nut jobs with low IQs, on a huge Truth Social post. He had a meltdown. And now the MAGA wall is coming down, brick by brick. And instead of talking about the Iran ceasefire or gas prices hitting almost $4.50 a gallon or literally anything else, he decides to write a 485-word personal attack on 4 people who were his most loyal, loudest megaphones for years. In a post today, Trump called Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones nut jobs, troublemakers, and people with low IQs, claiming they run third-rate podcasts and that nobody cares about them. But the reason? Because all 4 of them, people who spent years cheerleading for this man, pushed back on the Iran war. But here's where it gets interesting, because Trump didn't just attack their positions, he went personal. He called Tucker Carlson a hand-flailing fool who couldn't even finish college and suggested he should see a good psychiatrist. He brought up Megyn Kelly's infamous 2015 debate question. He called Candace Owens crazy, and he went after Alex Jones for the Sandy Hook lawsuit. And the responses, well, unhinged in the best possible way. After seeing Trump's post, Candace Owens wrote, "It may be time to put Grandpa up in a home." Alex Jones called the Iran war a total disaster and a black eye for America, and called for the 25th Amendment. Megyn Kelly said that the coalition that got Trump elected is completely fractured and in smithereens, and asked the question is now not who has Trump lost, the question is who remains. Candace Owens had already told her 7.8 million followers that Trump is a genocidal lunatic and that our Congress and military needs to intervene. And Joe Rogan, well, Rogan himself declared politically homeless this week, saying supporters feel betrayed. All of this isn't random. Trump is drawing a line, by the way. My MAGA versus their MAGA. So the question is, what happens to all these voters, the ones who found Trump through like Rogan, Carlson, through Owens, when those people tell them, hey, we were wrong? Please share, repost, like, and bookmark this video. Jump in the comments and tell me, how do you feel about all this?
President Trump's approval numbers are in the basement. They're the lowest that they have been. An entire coalition that put him over the top is falling apart. Joe Rogan's come out against the war.
This whole Iran thing, that seems so insane based on what he ran on. I mean, this is why a lot of people feel betrayed, right? He ran on no more wars, and stupid senseless wars, unless we're acting on someone else's interests, like particularly Israel's interests.
Dave Smith is hardcore against Trump right now.
Israel got us into this war. America first means we don't go to war on behalf of other countries.
Donald Trump has betrayed MAGA, betrayed America first.
Theo Vaughn came out against it.
It feels like we're just owned by Israel, you know? And we just never knew it.
He lost Andrew Schultz.
Can you not blame Americans for being frustrated? And America is spending billions of dollars to fight wars for other countries that have free healthcare and free college. Am I crazy to say that? Not at all.
Sean Ryan has same against it now very strongly.
Why is the White House protecting pedophiles? Who do you think we're occupied by? CPAC. A lot of people think that.
This is a coalition that the young men of America very much listen to. And the young people are completely against this war. And it's only older Republicans who support the war. Only.
You go fight Iran. You go form an army and fight Iran. We are American people. It's not our problem.
Tyler Robinson's allegations that he left a handwritten letter to his boyfriend admitting that he had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and he acted on it. This is just one more evidentiary claim, item of evidence that is going to come out in the trial. And you guys are going to say, I'm glad I listened to Brandon Tatum and that I did not listen to these emotional people who have a vested interest to tell you lies and deceive you and come up with conspiracy theories, because there's a lot of money in conspiracy theories. But when you listen to Brandon Tatum, I'll give you a fair, reasonable evaluation based on my training and experience in law enforcement. And so I'm telling you that it's going to be an uphill battle, the climb for the defense and Tyler Robinson. It's almost, there's nothing that's publicly available in any reasonable way outside of conspiracies that will get Tyler Robinson off on this case. There's nothing there. He's dead to rights. They got all the evidence against him. We all know that the firearm being it was inconclusive is what people are bringing up and saying that, hey, it's inconclusive, he's gonna get acquitted. Let me just tell you right now, and you heard it from me, inconclusive firearm trace comparison is minimal in this case. They don't need it. When you have as much circumstantial evidence, you don't really.
For those who voted for Trump and who now have left the MAGA movement, what was it that was the tipping point for you? This is a non-judgment zone, for real. Like, I mean, if you're still supporting it, we'll need to have a little chat. But for those who voted for it, believed in it, and now realize this is not what I want, what was it that made you realize, hey, this is not what I voted for? And I'm very curious. I did not vote for him. I've never voted for him. But I understand that the options for who we had to vote for were not great for a lot of people. I did like the other candidates more because I aligned myself more with the views that they had in terms of human rights. But with that being said, what was it that made you finally decide that MAGA was not for you? And please share in the comments. I think it will help a lot of us who are trying to understand what was it that made you want it in the first place, and what was it that turned you off of it at the end.
President Trump just set it off. Lord, I don't want to make this video, man. I don't want to make this video. God knows I don't want to make this video. President Trump just called out what people are calling his biggest supporters. He called out Megyn Kelly, called out Alex Jones, he called out Candace Owens, he called out Tucker Carlson. Donald Trump is absolutely furious, and he's finally attacked the people. And it's crazy because my YouTube videos has been leading up to this moment. I'm not even making nothing up. I've constantly been saying that the main threat to MAGA right now is really online, but it's the people that's online generating this hate, that's manipulating the few masses, the soccer home moms at home, that's truly trying to fight for justice, that's being manipulated by these people into believing that there's a massive divide in MAGA or that President Trump is doing a bad job. President Trump finally responded, verifies everything I've been saying. It's having an effect. Although we see it's not really affecting voters. I mean, you can even see with James Fishback. He's a great critic of Trump, has a lot of support from Groypers, yet his campaign looks like a fantasy. It's almost impossible for him to win. And that's without me saying if I want him to win or not. It's just the odds aren't there. Now, what would that mean? That would mean that people are extremely radical. They still don't really have a place in America yet. They have more of a place in America than they did before, but there's still no place for them today. Until you're able to win elections, it's kind of irrelevant, is it not? That's how we really make change. Other than that, only change that we're making is that goes in our pockets after we get done telling a message. Now, that's just not genuine. Trump sees that. These people are sounding off dog whistles. These people are counter-posting anything he does. Trump takes down leaders in Iran. Now these leaders are fighting for peace. Trump says he's going to annihilate a civilization. All these people he called said that, oh, Trump's going to use a nuke. He's going to kill everyone. He shouldn't do these things. Ended up saying Trump's chickening out when he decided to give these people mercy and grace. You see, these people are here to counter-signal everything that Trump's doing. And you think it's random that President Trump came off sounding off on them people a day after I just made the post on Twitter saying the U.S. government plans to start investigating influencers that's getting paid by foreign countries to turn Americans against Trump and MAGA is coming. You gotta mind you, I just posted this like 16 hours ago. 0 Hour posted it originally. I don't believe none of this is random. I think there's a hammer coming down, and goddamn it, I support it. You can't sit here and influence American citizens to turn against the President of the United States for monetary gain. Now, you can do it out of the kindness of your heart because thankfully the First Amendment allows it to be so. But when you start doing this treason and shit, trying to get us to turn against our allies, at the end of the day,
a whole civilization will die tonight. That is the definition of genocide. He talks like a supervillain from a Marvel comic.
This is Power Plant and Bridge Day. Peace wins. War loses.
It is vile. It begins with a promise to use the U.S. military to destroy civilian infrastructure, which is to say to commit a war crime.
I saw this yesterday, and like Marjorie Greene and like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and everybody else, this is disturbing. It's actually sickening. But it's Easter Sunday. It's literally the holiest day of the year, and this is what you post?
Oh, Trump says we love the Iranian people. We're going to make them live in hell. It's just so obvious slop from Trump on Easter.
And just announcing war crimes. We're declaring war on the civilian population.
Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say, no, I'll resign.
How do we 25th Amendment his ass?
It's too late. I don't know what else to say other than it is too late. The rats are fleeing the ship, but the ship is at the bottom of the ocean. You're not going to 25th Amendment him. You're not going to impeach him. None of this is ever going to go through with the current Congress and setup that we have. It's not going to happen. And now the rats who are on the wheel steering it are saying, what's going on? It's too late. There's really nothing else to say. Thanks for waking up. It's too late.
Is the MAGA revolt over the Iran war finally getting to Trump? He just went scorched earth on Truth Social, ranting against Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones, calling them, quote, nut jobs, troublemakers, and saying, you guessed it, that they have low IQs. It's all in response to comments like this.
If you work in the White House or in the U.S. military, now it's time to say no, absolutely not, and say it directly to the president, no.
I don't know about you, but I am sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. Can't he just behave like a normal human?
Currently, Trump with this Iran war and the energy crisis and the PR disaster. I mean, the North Korean dictator doesn't talk like this. He talks like a supervillain from a Marvel comic. This existential threat to literally the world existing on the extreme end, on the lesser bad end, just economic collapse for his credited worldwide. It's just too dangerous. It's too existential.
Now, those are some of the very people who made him the GOP nominee in 2016. That's right. Donald Trump was able to get people like Tucker Carlson, who was mainstream MAGA, and people like Alex Jones, who was far-right MAGA, and they got together and won him the nomination. Fast forward to now, only 4 in 10 U.S. adults approve of how Donald Trump is handling his job as president, according to an Associated Press North Center for Public Affairs research poll. Is it a telling midterm sign? Yes. Here's why. Think about the special election in Georgia for Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. Marjorie Taylor Greene won that seat by 29 percentage points. Clay Fuller won it on Tuesday by 12. That's a seat that Donald Trump carried by 37 percentage points. If you don't see what's going on here, MAGA is splitting. A lot of Trump's people are not coming out to vote. They may not vote Democrat, but if they don't show up at all, Donald Trump can't keep the seats he needs to win, to keep the House and to avoid impeachment.
Did you see Trump just go scorched earth on Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Candace Owens? Because this is not just some random internet feud. This is a full-blown MAGA civil war, and the reason it matters is Iran. Now, Trump is furious because Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and even Alex Jones all have been hammering him over Iran and over Operation Epic Fury. And Trump did not hold back. He went on Truth Social and basically called them low IQ losers, nut jobs, and people trying to get clicks off his name. But here's why the story is even bigger than the drama. When Trump starts publicly torching some of the biggest voices in conservative media over Iran, that tells you the split on the right is getting real. Now, this is not Democrats versus Trump. This is Trump versus people who helped shape his own movement. So now the question is, if Iran keeps driving this wedge deeper, how ugly is this fight inside MAGA going to get? Let me know in the comment section, but this is getting a little spicy, dicey, a little risky. Let me know.
Never been as angry as I am today. Trump has absolutely no respect for me whatsoever. Just now, I saw him post publicly using the most vicious language to smear me, Candace, and everyone else launching personal attacks with words like low IQ and lunatic. Such remarks are absurd beyond belief. We all know he's nothing but a sore loser who can't handle defeat. He rose to power through lies and incitement. While branding himself the MAGA leader, he labels every conservative who doesn't support him a loser. This isn't leadership, it's dictatorship. What's even more despicable is how he humiliated me with his disgusting Bloodgate comments. I merely raised a question about women's rights and issues important to female voters, yet he responded with vulgar, degrading remarks like blood coming out of her wherever. He simply has no concept of respect. I will no longer tolerate this kind of so-called leader. Donald Trump, you must pay the price for your vile, malicious words.
Over the past year, the media has been wringing its hands over the one question simmering in the minds of Republican strategists and misinformation outlets that will determine if they can survive when this is all finally and inevitably behind us. Who is the heir to MAGA? And now, in just 5 words, we know. But the craziest part is these 5 words flew entirely under the radar. Drowned in the flooded zone, silenced by the dropping bombs, and bankrupted by the cost of living. But these are the kinds of things I listen for. Because after 20 years in communications and marketing, you start to understand how the best things are built. The best brands last by becoming inextricably woven through the fabric of culture. So now let me tell you what I heard. Over this past weekend, Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson joined dozens of other major conservative personalities, including people like Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, and Matt Walsh, kinds of personalities who will be instrumental in building a conservative future. And they openly and brazenly criticized Trump in a way that would have been unthinkable 6 years ago, all because of his reckless decision to attack Iran. And Trump's response was everything. He didn't try to defend his choice. He didn't talk about liberating the Iranian people. He didn't talk about peace in the Middle East, because none of those things really matter to him. So instead, he talked about the one thing that does. And in just 5 words, he bankrupted his legacy. They're not MAGA. I am. In those 5 words, we learned that MAGA is not a political party. It's not a movement. It's not a culture or a community that you can be part of. It's an identity of one. It's a personality brand. And this is not a brand you can franchise. There's no co-owner or board of directors. Just like with everything else with Trump, the best you can do is beg for a license and pray that it doesn't get revoked. And that's what we just witnessed. Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, all those other major political influencers, along with every single elected Republican official who has spent 10 years wrapping themselves in the MAGA identity, they were just told you are a licensee, not an owner. And I can and will pull your license at any time. An approach that honestly should make all of the sense in the world, because this is Trump's entire MO. He built his entire fortune on just 5 letters, TRUMP, a brand he inherited from his dad before slapping on hundreds of worthless products. Products the rest of us would call a failure because they failed, but that he would call a success because they made him money, and they perpetuated his brand. And when you're a brand of one, that's all that matters. See, people think of Trump's bankruptcies as failures. If he'd only made a better product, he could have succeeded. That's not how he thinks. He doesn't want to build something. He doesn't want to create value for other people. He doesn't even want to share the value he has. Those businesses didn't necessarily go bankrupt because they failed. They went bankrupt because he let them go bankrupt. Because running a successful business has never been the point. Just like building a successful movement was never the point. And now in those 5 words, as he increasingly comes to terms with the fact that in about 8 months, the beginning of the end will commence, his paranoia and insecurity will only grow, causing him to cling even more desperately to the last best thing he has, MAGA. Meaning as 2028 Republican contenders start to rise to the surface, each attempts to claim their spot as heir to the MAGA throne from whatever crevice into which Trump has begun to recede, he will in his own way smear them as imposters. Fraudulent knockoffs pulled from the trunk of a rusty sedan. They might look like MAGA, they might talk like MAGA, they might heave, sweat, and hate like MAGA. But no matter what they say and no matter what they do, it is imperative that you understand. They're not MAGA. I am.
It's happening. It's finally happening, guys. The MAGA coalition is falling apart. Could you ever imagine a year ago that Donald Trump would attack Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones? It's because the jig is up. He can't run for president again. And so with his numbers in the tank, these people all know that they have to carve out their own lanes to keep their audiences and keep their money, because Daddy Trump's not going to help them anymore because he's literally tanked everything. And I'm not going to show you this whole thing because it is completely absurd, and it's like 4 pages long. You can go read it on that dumb app if you want. But look at this. He is attacking them. And these people are his base. So what do the supporters of Carlson, Kelly, Owens, and Jones do now? Do they stay with them, or do they go to their cult leader, Donald Trump? But it is very obvious now that he is doing a terrible job as president, because his numbers are in the mid-30s and these people are splintering away. And I don't know how the cult is going to be able to process this. It probably is going to make their minds just melt into the ground, but they're in trouble. And if these people get their people to stay home because they don't see what it's worth anymore, because Donald Trump has sold them up the river and lied to them over and over again, and they are finally, after 10 years, realizing it, the wipeout that's going to happen to Republicans in November is going to be so epic. So yes, I think it's finally happening. We've been waiting for this for 10 years, but it has begun.
Listen to these MAGA headlines out today. On MS Now, Trump's MAGA allies revolt over his threat to destroy Iranian civilization. USA Today, vile Trump threats to Iran's infrastructure inflames MAGA tensions. The Mirror, US, MAGA Christians turn on insane Trump and call for 25th Amendment. Washington Examiner, this is evil. Trump's threat to bomb Iran power grid rankles one-time MAGA allies. Newsweek, MAGA's biggest megaphones speak out against Trump. And The Guardian, Joe Rogan and the influencers who built MAGA are revolting over Iran. Was this an alliance doomed to fail? So yeah, MAGA ain't happy. Of course, there's going to be plenty of them out there that are going to continue to support Trump no matter what. But for the most part, his base is just dissolving. And that's why we're seeing all these elections around the country going blue, Democrats. There's a chance a Democrat will take over Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. We'll know more today because that special election is happening today, Tuesday. Meanwhile, Trump is unraveling and MAGA is saying, bye-bye.
Trump says the Iran war is almost over. So what we're going to have is a lot of influencers. They're going to have to eat their spit. They're going to have to drink their spit. They're going to have to eat grass, because what they're going to do is they act like this was World War III. It was going to destroy the country and it's going to be over in 3 weeks, right? Because Trump is not into prolonged war, because he's against war. He's not a warmonger. He has proven himself. This is what bothers me about these people with Trump, is Trump has proven himself. He deserves, it's like a person in a good marriage. When you know your spouse is a good spouse, you don't turn on them and immediately think they're cheating because they don't answer their phone a few times, right? That's a person with trust issues. Trump has proven over, we've known him for a decade, and he's been consistent over and over again. And we know, that's why, yes, I don't want war. I'm not a warmonger. I'm anti-war. I'm not an isolationist. But I trust the president because he's earned our trust as a movement, as a people. He's earned our trust. The Tucker Carlsons, all these other people, the MTGs, the Massies, all these people on their side, on the woke right, the Alex Joneses, who immediately turned on the president, who began to spew anti-Semitism, racism and bigotry. They're going to have to realize, they're going to have to stand and look at everybody when they're all proven wrong again, because Trump has been right about everything he said. So he said that Trump has already said the oil prices are falling again, and he's saying that the war with Iran is almost over. And it's only been a week. It's not even been a week. So they're going to look real stupid when Trump proves to be right again, and we should have just trusted Trump and gave him a little grace. That these people are evil. They don't like our country. They're Nazi. They hate Israel with a passion. They can't even see straight because they're so full of evil racism toward Israel.
President of the United States is upset with me. Let's talk about it. I know you guys saw the post. The AI-generated photo posted to President Trump's Truth Social account depicting him as Christ healing someone. This was me, a lifelong Bible-believing Christian conservative, this morning when I saw the post. Like, come on, President. I love the president. I support the president. I'm always in his corner. I think he's like a master troll, if you will. But for the life of me, I just can't understand why he would post something like this. So I took to my X account and I said, 2 things are true. Number 1, a little humility would serve President Trump well. And second, God shall not be mocked. And not even within 12 hours, it has like 5 million views. The comments were filled with people calling me a rhino and a grifter and a liberal, a closeted liberal who's trying to destroy President Trump. Which those people aren't even worth responding to, because normal people don't think like that. People who are not chronically online. But anyways, the president ended up taking down the Truth Social post with the AI image. Later that day, a White House reporter asked President Trump, did you delete the post because of critics like Riley? And he responded back by saying this: I didn't listen to Riley. He then goes on to say he's not even actually that big of a fan of me. I could have told you this morning when I posted that. That would be the Trump response. Following his comments, I have had a plethora of reporters from left-wing media outlets reach out to me for comment, trying to bait me into saying something bad about President Trump because he doesn't like me. Newsflash, I don't do what I do or say what I say to be liked. If that were the case, I would stick behind the slogan of trans women are women. I do what I do and say what I say because I have moral conviction, which seems to be a foreign concept to some people. Here's my response to the reporters from CNN, ABC, CBS. I love the president, and I am so grateful and glad that he is in the Oval Office. I will continue to support him and the America First agenda. At the end of the day, I do nothing for the approval of man, no matter who that man is, including the president. Our main purpose on this earth is to glorify the Lord, our creator, our savior, in everything that we do. That Truth Social post missed the mark. It's now deleted. Amazing. We are imperfect people. I know I am an imperfect person. I do not get my feelings hurt easy. And again, I know with the president, it's not personal. We've had our tiffs before. I just know that I want to spend eternity in a very real place called heaven. And I would love for the president to be there as well. Like one old big eternal party in the clouds. Jesus is the way. He is the truth. He is the life. I am going to keep doing my part by speaking the truth and doing my best to lead people to Christ and supporting the America First agenda, which in turn means supporting President Trump.
So this is incredibly stupid and incredibly pathetic, and I'll explain why. So first things first. She says, how, again, she reiterates and she emphasizes how much of a Christ follower she is. God, I love Jesus. And then talks about how amazing it is that Donald Trump is he's such a masterful troll. Did Jesus mock, belittle, insult, and viciously attack people who...
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.